U.S. citizen returning to the United States in the previous 14 days will be subject to up to 14 days of mandatory quarantine.
So all the music available this evening, you can find your link at www.langstonlh3.com, right?
It's on their page. But
It's on what?
say that again? Now, we were speaking amongst ourselves, sorry.
Yeah, tell us where we can find your music so people aren't waiting and wondering.
Well, we're on all streaming platforms, Langston Hughes III, and then and our website is lh3music.com.
lh3music.com.
Or wherever you aggregate your music, we there.
That's right. So first of all, I want to welcome Langston Hughes III. Tonight we have Charlie Doc, the superstar, and Maximilian.
How's everybody?
Hey, straight out of Charleston, or as you guys call it, Chucktown, South Kakalaki.
Yeah, that's what we call it. We actually made that up.
I know you did. I know, and I've been walking around using that all the time, thinking, no, must be
West
something.
Virginia tried to stay clean, but here.
Yeah, well, they should. They should try to stay clean right now, especially, right? So Langston Hughes III, I got to know you guys, or at least Charlie, I got to meet you a couple years back in Chucktown at the Charleston Music Confab that a friend of mine puts on, or was putting on. And we met late at night in the hip hop quadrant of the Confab. I think somebody just muted me. Okay. And it was then that I learned all about you. I know you guys had a different name back in the 90s, right?
Right.
Was Mad Flavor first? Is that right?
Yeah, initially it was Mad Flavor, but then there was a Mad Flavor in Texas, so we had to switch it up. So we went to Da Flavor.
Da Flavor, right?
Everyone was about flavor in the 90s.
Yeah, that's true.
Everything was flavor. Flavor
And
everything.
You had the flavor.
Yeah,
and
you still got it.
You still got it, right? So, but
Zatarans over here.
Oh, Zatarans, I hate to tell you, you know where that come from, right?
Where? New Orleans?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I knew that. No, we knew that.
It's funny because last week we had a guest on, a friend of mine, who said that the best food he ever had was in Charleston, and I kept myself quiet, you know.
Right.
But I don't know if that's true or not.
The truth does that sometimes.
I'm not going to say I'm going to be nice tonight, but you know, New Orleans. All right. So you mind telling us a little bit about how you guys get started? And it was 91?
Actually, it was 92.
Okay.
We frequented the same clubs, and we were all aspiring artists and decided to come together, make one group, and then we got a record deal. And went out to California, recorded our first album, actually in the same studio that they recorded The Chronic. So
wow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So and not they recorded The Chronic there, but for R&B buffs, you know, it was Solar Studio, Solar Records. So not only did they do The Chronic there, but Babyface, The Deal. Remember the Calloway brothers had I Want to Be Rich? Oh,
yeah.
I want to be rich.
They were one of the producers of Soul Train, so we were in good hands coming out the gate. So that's how we started.
And you went off to a good start, and then something happened to you when they changed your album cover. What was all that?
When it happened, that's not what happened. It was just a controversy around the cover. So our album cover, they took the Confederate flag and put the African liberation colors over it to make a artistic statement, and that grew legs of its own and kind of separated from the group. And when things went awry, it really wasn't about that. But we was like grand opening, grand closing. Like we got out there, toured for a little while, and then we ended up back in Charleston, trying to regain our legs and figure out what's going on. So 1 year turned to 2 year, turned to 3 year, and then that recording situation kind of fizzled out. and then we just started doing things independent ourselves.
Now, yeah, the reason I think I really connected with you when I met you was that it had been so like almost 20 or 20 more, 20 than more than 20 years that you had been simmering, and now coming back with Langston Hughes III, which is so meaningful in terms of Langston Hughes himself, right? You know, his story, I don't know if people know his story, but he, you know, in the 20s, he wanted to be an engineer at Columbia, and kind of got that taken away from him, and ended up being one of the greatest poets of the Harlem Renaissance, right? I think he defined it, to be honest.
Yeah, he defined it, and he wasn't supposed to be an engineer. So what happened is what was supposed to happen, and gave his great gift to the world. So
amen, amen to that.
Yeah.
So what I see as a theme in your music is always about dreams, you know, the dream and the dream deferred, in terms of the poem Harlem, which I guess you guys use as your first track of Dreams Expedited, released in October of last year, by the way. You should get a copy.
You should.
Yeah, it's such a meaningful album from the top to the bottom. I play it over and over. You want to talk a little bit about the tracks on that album and how that came about?
Well, when we decided, because yeah, it's a 20-year gap from when we initially, more than a 20-year gap from when we initially started. Life got in the way, and we went on, had kids and wives and divorces and businesses and all kind of shit. But none of that really, well, except the wife part, but that didn't work out. But none of the other stuff was really what we were just going through life. And we decided we wanted to like get back to our dreams, but it's kind of crazy because now we're older. So we're just trying to find a footing. So when we came back and we couldn't go with the name we had, it sounded kind of crazy. Like we're a little too old for that. And I was just reading on Langston Hughes, and it just sparked something in me. And it was an immediate connection because of Dream Deferred. And that was the one poem I did know from him. And I was like, you know, this brings some meaning to what we're trying to do. So that kind of was the springboard. So we took the Dream Deferred, made it an expedited dream. So it's like we just had to find, okay, where would we sit in the hip hop community now? The hip hop is a youthful expression, and generally the music you hear is going to be coming from younger people. But we saw it as youthful expression isn't necessarily age driven. So,
Amen.
I still think I'm 25, and so, you know, so that was the motivation for that. And then we just started compiling music, and it was going to take some crafting and forming to get to what we would end up being, because when we started, we were still like the flavor for a long time. It's like, this is not going to work, but we had to just work out the kinks, and it was about a 5-year process. And then when we really decided it's time to do this, and then it took us maybe 2-3 months to actually get that project like done. So yeah, it was like, we're gonna expedite the dream. So all of those songs kind of represent where we are in life.
Indeed, expedited. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your process and who writes what and how you do it together?
Yeah, who wrote the Uber song?
We wrote that. We both, me and him actually. That was one of the first ones we did when we got back to this, and we really thought that one was cool too. Still do.
It's a cool song.
I love the video, Uber to the Opera.
Yeah.
Defining, yeah. Great.
I was just watching your video, What I Do. That's what the correct title?
Yes.
In the back. Yeah, I really was digging that because it was taking me back, the ride in the truck and everything. It was cool. Really, really cool.
And that video really represents where we stand now, because we were kind of slow walking through, but we know at this point we need to strong arm our way back to getting what we want here, and we got to make people see us. Okay, this is something real. So the only way to take the dreams, we got to take them by force, and so that's what that whole video represented.
And that song, it should have been a. Go ahead. Go ahead. I just felt like should have been a soundtrack to a movie, an action movie. It was so dope. It was so great.
Actually, we're working on that. I don't have all the details, but someone is interested in putting that song in a movie.
Oh, nice.
So that's cool. But yeah, and and it represented all of the things that the dream stealers. So we had the unsupportive spouse. We had sometimes you're your own dream stealer. Your past friends and family. So we try to be creative with it.
Yeah, that whole dream stealer thing, it took me a minute, right, to get the whole thing. And then when I realized what it was all about, it was like, that's so important, right? We need to stay around people who want us to help us cultivate and further our dreams versus people who are trying to tell us we can't do it. As another fellow 50 in my 50s now, right? There's plenty of people who want to tell you, why don't you just go do something else? Why don't you just, be happy for teach somebody something? And there's nothing wrong with teaching, but right. I mean, when you have your dream,
we're not in our 50s yet, so don't put us over the bridge.
Oh, ouch!
Don't be inviting me to the party like early. No. Now I'm almost there though. I'm almost there. Right?
We're like 2 blocks away from 50. I'm up the street. Yeah.
I'll be there with open arms when you're ready to come through.
Yeah. But it's important to know who is around you and who is in your ear. So sometimes, it could be someone that's in your house, or it could be even yourself. So you just have to get around like-minded people that are doing the things that you want to do, people who are encouraging. Because I tell you, man, you get some people. We were hearing all kind of stuff, like from friends that was in the industry with us, that was like in the group with us. They were like, man, y'all need to go, sit down somewhere. You guys are too old. Man, the game has changed. It's not the same. Yeah, it's not the same. You have to actually grow with it. You have to adapt. I don't have to sound like I'm from 90 something.
Right.
I can take my ideas, my thoughts, what's in my heart, and apply to now. And it works.
You are a living testimony to that. And in fact, even that conference that we were at, it really was about showcasing very young people. And there you were, and there we were, and there, it's like, no, the game is not just for them; it's for all of us.
And that was weird too. But we're past that, because we've been to several conferences, and everyone thinks we're chaperone our managers. They're like, no, motherfucker,
that's right.
We're here to learn just like you. But proof is always in the pudding. We have a great stage presence, I believe, and it's reminiscent of the era that we came from. And we get a lot of love for that. So it's like, you listen to the music. If you're really into hip hop, then it just makes sense. And the deeper we got into working on this, then everything took another meaning, because a millionaire told me once that, there's someone sitting around watching you, waiting on you to be successful, to give themselves permission to be successful. And I thought about that. And I was like, well, maybe this is bigger than we are, and just our dreams, because we steadily meet people that say, hey, you inspired us, like other musicians, people of different walks of life that hear the story. There's like, well, I started doing this. We had a friend that hadn't been DJing for maybe 20 years, but because we stepped out, he went and bought equipment, and now that's all he wanted to talk about now. And we feel that we're not only for people, more mature people, but even for younger kids, is like, the fact that we finished the album, we completed it. So, that's the first part of it. And so to be successful here, we give other people permission to be successful. And anytime I see someone doing things, especially a little later in life, or or getting to something that they really were inspired to do, but walked away from it because of life. Maybe what you want to do isn't financially viable for a family, or maybe what you want to do, there's no one that has your back. So I think we stand as a beacon for those people that's trying to move forward. Just like we, the sex therapist you had is on the show that was week before.
Yeah, wow, you guys are watching. That's so great.
So she's only been doing what she's doing 5 years. So
yeah,
you don't become a sex therapist that late in life if it's in something you're not moved to, inspired to do. You know, it definitely wasn't something for a financial gain. You know, it had to be, you know, this is something I'm inspired to do. So when we see things like that, it's always a trigger for me.
It would inspire her to be a sex therapist.
You're gonna have to ask her that.
I love that. Oh, you're such an inspiration to me. You know, I want to talk a little bit more, though, not just about the hip hop, because this is more than hip hop to me. This is a movement. We have our art, right? There's Langston Hughes III sanctioned art, and there's also the Merlot moment. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Okay.
Well, those are the things that we love. I was an art major in college. We are hip hop itself, with graffiti and everything. I mean, it's an art form.
Mm-hmm.
As we got older, we came to have a love for wine, and of course there's the music. So we just took the things that we really have a love for, and we kind of like meshed them together, and we came up with something called Merlot Moments. Just like, you know, let's do an event of the things that we love. And the first one that we did, it was such a beautiful thing, because you have all these walks of life that just come together. You know, one came to enjoy one thing, and they were like, oh, well, you know, well, man, that's pretty cool. And it found out that they had a common love for other things. And it's basically, it's just that. It's just a cool event that people can, across the board, they meet, they love, they experience something new, and everybody gets along. I love it. It's dope. You can expound on it a little better than I can.
I think you did great.
But like he said, like Merlot Moments was something that actually started on Facebook. Like, I was drinking a lot of wine, and so I was on Facebook all the time. So when I'm sitting drinking and listening to music, then I would start posting music. And then I started calling those songs that I post a Merlot Moment, and we just ran with it. So, you know, Merlot Moment became a celebration of art, wine, and classic hip hop. So when we do those events, that's the elements you're gonna get every time. And it's been cool and successful, and it's not something we do on a regular basis. So it gives it a little more meaning. It's not a continuous thing. Like, it'll be months before we do one, and we just got to be moved to do it. And what we love about it too, when we bring in art, we bring in a lot of unknown artists and give them the chance to showcase their art. And a lot of them, we had an event in the art gallery. So every artist that was with us that time, none of them ever had their art in a gallery. And this is like a prestigious gallery here on Broad Street in Charleston, which is pretty much lily white.
Yeah.
So that was real cool.
That's what's up. I call mine marijuana moments.
We got that too.
But I feel like when I'm like looking at the branding of it, it's like it feels to me like if I had to put it all together, like high Harlem Jazz Society with a Chucktown swag to it. You know, you gotta dress up, take the Uber to the opera, get your Merlot, look a little art.
It's when people come out, because they know us, you see everybody trying to dress their best and come out looking pretty, you know, looking nice, but it's still hip hop based.
Yeah.
And one thing we didn't really talk about, like each Merlot moment is unique. There was one that we did to really with the soul food restaurants that we did.
Yeah, we did a dedication to soul food restaurants, and we kind of aligned it with Charleston food and wine, which is a big event, and people come from all over the world for this event, but they never have really showcased like the soul food restaurants, which is a big staple here in Charleston.
I mean, Justine's is the greatest restaurant, right?
Right. And but what they do is they incorporate them, but it's kind of like a side note. So we decided, well, you know what, we're gonna do something where we showcase the soul food restaurants, and did a little presentation. I actually even did a mini documentary on the restaurants that we showcased, and it was cool. And that's something we're going to start doing a little more. But that's something near and dear to us.
Because during the restaurant week, a lot of the soul food restaurants that everybody frequents and everybody loves, they don't really get that shine.
Yeah.
So it is really unfair when you see all these other restaurants get these awards and accolades. But when you go down to the soul food restaurants, like you have like people that come in droves. They are a part of restaurant week, but they don't talk about them.
Right.
They'll bring a whole they'll bring a whole busload of people. It's like, oh man, your food is great. Your food is great. Okay, see you later.
Yeah.
So I hope it's kind of foul in a way.
And to speak to that more, we don't want to get into Charleston Food and Wine. We probably want to work with them at some point, but a lot of those restaurants get a lot of their food ideas from the soul food restaurants. So
I know it. True.
Like, give them their flowers just like everyone else. And it's something big because people from all over go, and most of these restaurants in the hood, so the food got to be pretty damn good if you way out of your element. And you don't look like nobody in there, and you like, I would like a fish special. That's a big deal. Yeah.
Well, I hope you hook us up with your documentaries. Give us a place to watch them, because I'm sure we all be salivating.
That one is on our YouTube page, where you can find Langston Hughes III. So it's up there.
Okay, good.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
Anybody
I want to just talk about us.
Yes, we do. What do you guys? What do y'all want to talk about?
Talk about you guys.
All right, how you doing today?
How did this? I want to know about comedy as a weapon.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm glad you asked. Can anybody hear me?
Oh God, here we go.
Here's what I really want to know.
We can all hear you.
Oh, okay.
Here's what I want to know. Because I think I'm funny. Like our whole crew, we're hilarious when we're around each other.
Mm-hmm.
So for the comedians, I want to know, at what point do you go, I'm funny enough to make this a living, versus, because some people are cookout funny, some people are alcohol funny, and then some people, hey, I can make a living of this. At what point do you go, I can do this shit?
Or accidentally funny. I only say shit on accident. It was like, hey, do it again.
Wow.
But okay, so can I answer that?
Yeah.
Or just give my opinion about it?
Please.
So my opinion is that I feel like you go to a mic, and then the people who stick with it, they just can't stop doing it for whatever reason.
Right.
You just become addicted to it. It's a little bit like crack. You just can't stop doing it. And I think
I wouldn't know
during
what
that
you're speaking
process,
about, but I'll take your word.
You eventually do have to stop doing crack at some point. But
let me just say this. I've never tried
Crack is not good for dental plan.
Right.
or your skin. Yeah.
I haven't seen the effects
Well,
of crack,
see,
but I'm just saying.
being funny at the cookout, that or drunk funny, all that's the talent. Making your friends around, that's the talent. But then when you have to repeat those jokes on stage, like, all those people in the audience wasn't there at the cookout. So you have to recreate that moment on stage, and that's the skill right there. So, I mean, a lot of people are funny, naturally funny, and, might naturally have comedic timing, but now you got to bring all that back and tell it in a way where people, respond to you like they did at the cookout. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think I'm at that level.
I think
Have you ever tried?
You should just try it. You should try it and just see what happens. You gotta just try it.
I'm a rapper. I'm already multitasking.
Yeah, he's already got like.
Do you have any jokes you want to try out now? Sorry.
No, no.
No.
Like, I don't recommend like
I don't have enough
tell you
alcohol.
just try stand up. For everybody, I say do improv. You know, you don't want to go to
Right.
therapy anyway, but go to an improv class, and like that's what everyone should do. But then if you're the person who like, you know, can't stop, like that this is just, you know, in your blood or just how your parents coded you or something, then like, I don't know, then you're stuck. Like Boney said, like you're stuck. You have to do it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm not. That's not my bag. Now I've seen some people that I don't know who gave them the courage. It was like, this didn't go well. Looks a little traumatic. It's like,
Yeah, I'm not going to name some names. Yeah.
no, I mean,
No.
no. Locally.
Yeah.
So how all of you guys got together? How did this collective become a collective?
Hold on. Let me ask you a question.
They're interviewing us. What is going on?
Seems
Actually,
like no one should ever ask this. Everyone wonders, but nobody should know.
I'm being blackmailed. That's
No.
all I know.
we blackmail Boney. We hold Boney hostage. But I got a question. All right. So you was out in the 90s, Mad Flavor. And then the gap between the time that you were Mad Flavor till now. So it's almost like you guys are new artists. So I know you said, it's in your heart and age, the art don't age, but the game does age. So my question is, what do you do when you're writing in the studio? Are you trying to stay relevant? Are you trying to like, okay, we want to play this, we want this to be played on the radio. You know what I mean? Like, do you take inspiration from the music that's out now?
Well, like for me, and being a lover of like all music, like all classic music, it's not dated. It's like you can talk about relationships, you talk about life, like things that people that can identify with. So that's kind of where we are right now. Like when we were kids, we were just writing about, we just want to rap, just drop like some hard bars and shit. But like now it's like we actually sit down like, man, I want, I just got out of this like fucked up relationship. I think I want to talk about it. People can identify with that. And then of course you got your music selection, that's something different, but it never changes. Like the best music is the music that you can really identify with. So if people really look at like what we talked about then versus now, it's like, oh damn, these dudes like grew up a whole lot. And I mean, the method of how I'm spitting it to you, maybe that's tweaked a little bit, but still yet people can be like, yeah, I felt what you were saying in that song. So when I wrote Black Nights, it was something heartfelt with what was going on around Charleston, with the Charleston 9, with Mr. Scott when he got shot. So you can feel that when you saw it on the news or when you were here, it hit you kind of hard. So it was something that we wanted to talk about. So yeah, it's relevant and it'll always be relevant. I guess that's my answer. We're not really just talking like bullshit. We're just talking like realness.
And the game really doesn't change because music inspires music. Is going to be the same regardless. It's just where you place yourself. So with us, we decided we would have to create our own lane just completely. So we call our music adult contemporary head nod music. So we're from the 90s and we're not stuck there. However, we move from that foundation, and I listen to the young cats as well. And the same way I was inspired when I was 18 or 20, I'm still inspired. I'm not one of those guys that's like shitting on the kids and the mumble rap or whatever, because I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. So when I became a big fan of hip hop, hip hop only came from New York City, and that's where we had to get the music from. So I would get a cassette, and if there's 30 songs on it, 6 of them are good. So trash music always existed. It was like, people in the uproar. It is like, and I don't search to the radio for my music, and I never did, because when hip hop came out, it wasn't on the radio. It was only on the weekends for maybe 2 hours. So we had to search other ways for it. And I continued to do that. Even when I used to do a radio show, we were on radio for several years too. I didn't listen to the radio then. Like when I was in the station, I would talk and I would turn off the radio and I'm listening to my own shit. So it's like the radio never moved me, and we're not moved for radio play, because radio doesn't move the needle anymore. Radio comes to the internet to find out who's hot. So I could, like, our biggest, oddly enough, our core fan group is 25 to 40, and a lot of them is overseas. So it's like not really worrying about radio. It's like if you do good music, it always transcends all the bullshit. Like when Kanye West came out, there was nothing like that, and it was kind of like a throwback. But because he was so authentic, people took to it that probably wouldn't have before. Like people that only listen to thug headbanging music, they felt Kanye because he was authentic. So as long as we stay authentic to where we came from and where we're going, I don't see where we would have a problem.
Well, all right. Tim's a rapper too,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, we don't have to.
That's not true. All right, I had to unmute my microphone.
Forrest is a rapper. He raps.
Forrest is a rapper.
Which is also, I'm not a host of this show, except for that I do have the pleasure of hosting most of the people who do host the show.
That's
So
right.
hi, everybody.
Hey, Gary.
I'm holding on Bishop's Lounge. And what's up, everybody, in Langston Hughes III. And I do have a question, if that's acceptable.
Yeah.
And first of all, thank you guys. I am very pleased that Tim reached out to me personally and had me call in. He's like, Forrest, this is up your alley. I didn't know about the group. I did some research. Great music, great movement. Not only do I manage and bartend and book Bishop's Lounge, but I'm an MC myself. Been playing for like
the Alchemistics.
The Alchemistics, yeah, that's my band. I've been to South Carolina a couple times, never to Charleston.
Then you haven't been to South Carolina.
That's right.
Come, man.
I've been to South Carolina, son.
You've been to a reasonable facsimile.
I was in Greenville. Greenville
is hot. That's a big market, music market too.
That's long. And my man Simple, who did Project Lotus, he's been doing a bunch of stuff. He works with Akil from Jurassic 5. Like he's people. Simple's my man's. But about you guys, I'm glad you said that hip hop still inspires you, and that's the thing for me, because I have 2 kids. I call myself like a hip hop pop rap dad. Like I still try and make music that's relevant,
right?
But just telling my life. And my question for you is, how do you bridge that gap, or what are you guys thinking about? Because it's hard being an older person in hip hop, when you're in your late 30s, 40s, and knowing it's a young man's game. And I'm glad you said you're inspired by it, but how do you take that inspiration for younger rappers? Like, are you guys working with other young artists? How are you trying to bridge that gap is my question.
Well, we do work with, everyone's younger than us, so we do work with younger artists, first of all. But if you listen to the music, of course, we still have that boom bap foundation. There's always going to be 808. There's always going to be that knock. But I like a lot of the new cats, so I'm still inspired by that music. So now I'm not out trying to do what they're doing. Just like in 1993, I wasn't trying to sound like Nas, but I was inspired by Nas. So, we're taking that energy and the young sensibility, and I think, again, when it's authentic, because if you're doing, we made a conscious decision not to do throwback music, and because the industry, the older industry in the hip hop culture has has created a tug of war with the young kids because they just keep bashing them. And then, you know, just like in the household with the parent and the kid, is like, you don't want to hear that shit from your parents, and then you're thinking their thoughts are outdated. So I could say with my kids, I was always the opposite. First, I told them, I'm gonna be the coolest person you ever know, period. And that still stands to the day. And they're adults. Hell, I got grandkids, so it's like, and they know it, but their musical taste is so diverse because that's how I brought it to them, and I never shit on what they're listening to, because when you put up that wall, they're gonna always like push back. So
yeah,
that's kind of what we've done, and it's like when it's good music, like everyone's not gonna gravitate to it. But what I have noticed, we did a show in Columbia, South Carolina, and everyone else was way younger, all of the performers, except for the guy that was putting on the show. We're from the same era, and but all of the young kids came up to us and was like, man, we really like that, because as long as you're authentic, and well, it gotta be good, because you could be authentically whack, and then, well, you know, and you know, it is what it is. But as long as you're authentic, and we're not preaching, and we don't wear any skinny jeans. We're not trying to. Now, I used to dye my shit at one point, but I stopped doing that. You just have to be authentically you, and just present it. Everyone's not going to gravitate to it, but there will be some that do. Like I say, the bulk of our core that's streaming our music is younger.
Nice.
So I'm curious if if there was like a process with the whole, you know, learning how to be authentic. Do you have, are you more authentic now after life lessons? Like, what did you learn in the middle?
We're definitely more authentic now, because we realize back then, you don't know the shit you don't know that you don't know. And just even with speaking, I was telling not so long ago, I used to have these conversations with my mother, and I thought she didn't know shit about it. Now I was like, Mom, we don't do it like that now. Like, and she looking at me like I'm crazy. And I always think back to that, because I'm like, nothing really's changed, like, since biblical times. We live it's just the same circle of life over and over. There's nothing new. But you know, you go through life stages. So now that we're older, I know who I am. I'm secure in who I am. And maybe not so much when I was younger, because we're trying to impress each other. And you know, the older you get, you're not trying to impress nobody. See, Quincy Jones was like, he's like, fuck it, I'm old now. I'm just telling the shit. It's like, you know. So I think as you mature, you become closer to your authentic self.
That's beautifully put. So I want to open this up to viewers to ask questions. Remember, this is the Quarantine Call-In Show. Please mute your mics until you're ready to speak, so that we don't have any transference from one to the other. And also, if you're watching the playback, turn the volume down if you're going on mic. Okay? Who's up?
Okay, first of all, I want to say the difference between everybody else and Quincy Jones is light-skinned with good hair.
There you go.
That's why he ain't gotta care.
Oh boy.
That's funny.
Tim always gotta throw in some colorism.
I know, he has to, right?
So crazy.
Like the jam. The Langston was way in when we was coming up too, so it was like, oh man, I need a break.
Yeah.
I couldn't get no waves.
We come from the Albie Shore era. Like,
oh yeah.
Like, dude was getting girls. He had a unibrow. I understand that shit. It's like, how he get girls? Look at his eyebrows.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Hey,
We met him and we thought he was everything. We were like, oh my God. Him and Christopher Williams, we were like, oh man.
It's another one, man. Light skin,
another one.
Light skin with the waves. Kept the brush in high school.
Yeah, I think everything goes now. I think it's,
So
we're living under the Drake era, so I'm glad. Like light skin dudes is back.
we be back.
Man, y'all killing it. Still.
Back.
We be back.
Listen, there was a little period.
Wesley put in a lot of years for us.
Right.
It was like we had to fall back a little bit.
And when DMX came out, man, it wasn't even cool to be light skinned. You know what I'm saying? You know? Yeah, so I listened. I actually last night I listened to, most of your music, the music, I could find. And the difference is, it's like it sounds totally different from then until now. Sometimes like when you like do something, you have a style, and and so they sort of you can pick out somebody. You're like, oh, that's Perry Mason, or that's Drake, or you can hear like sort of his style. But your music sounds totally different. I was listening to Triple Threat Power.
Wow,
damn.
That's the first song we ever did as a group.
Oh
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, Triple Threat.
Yeah, I like that. And then like the new music, what was I said? The Mozart, I like that one.
Yeah.
And,
Mozart smoking Blacks and Milds.
Blacks and Miles. Oh my God. Blacks and Miles.
that was very authentic. That was very authentic. I love her. We do hood rat things with our friends to smoke the Black and Mild.
Black and Mild. Blacks and Milds.
But to speak to that, I think so. What separates us from a group? Let's just say a group. So you have these groups from the 90s that kind of got stuck because especially if they had like success. So if I had success in the 90s and I decided, hey, I want to come back out, and it kind of much hasn't changed with them, it's kind of hard to tell them that the shit don't work because it previously worked. And then they definitely got people gassing them like, yeah, this is good. The difference with us is we didn't have that success, and we had a large gap. So he stopped doing music before I did, but I kind of moved into another era of the music. I did some solo projects, was working with other groups, and then I kind of fell off. So when we got back, we literally were new artists, like clean slate, and it took several years for us to shake the leaves of the old stuff, because if you listen to some, even like the first song we did was Carolina Shine, and Carolina Shine is really not a Langston Hughes III song. That's the flavor song, and like the energy of it and the movement of it. It just looks like Langston Hughes because we had the aesthetics, but we still had the same energy from the past. And that was the first song we did when we came back. So, and before I forget, I definitely have to shout out Chalk the Bully.
Chalk, yeah.
And our DJ, the Mojo DJ Corey B, and our producer B73 Music, and Choice, and our man Metz, because of I said B73. I said that. I did say that.
I got them old ears and shit.
He got the old ears. But I wanted to shout all of them out before I forget. And a rest in peace shout out to Elizabeth King, which is a cousin of mine that just went back to the Essence, as well as Butch Moore, which is like another kind of father figure to me, that just went back to the Essence. So I want to make sure I give respect to those people, but back to that,
Thank you for.
But yeah, that's what. Yeah, with our music, that's how we like started over. So we didn't really have a attachment to the old stuff. And even like now, we have songs. They want me to do songs that we've done in the past. I'm like, man, I just want to leave that in the past and just keep moving forward. And we're still growing. Even with the new stuff you'll see more of growth, because we're working on several different projects now, and you'll see more growth and more morphing of what we are and who we are.
Really exciting. Tim Metz, you have a question.
Yes. Where did you find this love for wine?
Love for wine. Okay, so here's how that started. So I had a recording studio here, and literally, what happened? We just missed the liquor store, so wine was all we could get, and we just started trying different wines. and I mean, hey, I don't know about there, but liquor store closed at 7. If someone don't make that run, we just ass out. So we started wine.
That's how I found the man.
Wine, and then we started going to wine tastings and things of that nature. And that's another thing. We decided to make Langston a movement. It's not just the music. Of course, we got the Merlot Moments, which is one movement. We have, and we're gonna come out with our own wine, and we're working on that now. That's a lot involved, but we're working on our own wine, and then of course clothing. And the underlying theme to it all is, no matter what, protect your dreams by any means. So.
Oh yeah, Lauren's got a question. What you got?
Yeah, my question is actually for Boney. Boney. You listened to the track, I assume you listened to the track Merlot Moments. Did it make you feel, or what was its effect on you?
Oh man, I can't wait.
Well, I feel like I'm gonna talk to them privately about that.
I'm really glad you found Merlot, because I found Manischewitz and Boone's Farm at the gas station. So Merlot is a way
Boone's
step better
Farm.
than that.
Mad Dog 2020 work every time.
Those extremely sensual wine sips. Was it actually Merlot? Did it have to be Merlot to record? Or was it just water?
No, it's Merlot.
It's Merlot.
The viscosity sounded like wine, but
authenticity.
Yeah. Shout out to Kalani Reynolds that actually did the poem on. Yeah, you imagine being there. It's like, okay. Okay.
Yeah. I was like,
she's very talented.
I need to close the door. My
she got the point across.
Outside.
She really got the point across.
And I was reconsidering having another child after that. Yeah, I was like,
yeah, we like that.
It's pretty good.
Some life decisions. Yeah.
She did a good job.
And then the next song came on, and we got rid of that thought.
Speaking of the next song, this is another song that I like. That it reminds me of a house party. What, Langston Lover? You know what I'm saying? Tender I mean, it makes you sound like you had a house party. I like that. I like that. That track.
Well, see, with Langston Love, again, like all of those songs are our musical experiences. So, we came up where house and hip house kind of took over. So that's all a part of our DNA as well. And so then we wanted to throw back to that house and of course to 80s and late 70s disco and dance music. So, and that's actually a true story.
Awesome.
So I got a question about this hip house parties on your Kid and Play tip. Is that since you guys are kind of the precursors of bringing old school hip hop back, still doing that, why do you think more old school rappers aren't getting back into the craft? I grew up on Special Ed, Kool Moe Dee, all those cats. I still think Special Ed's rhymes are timeless today.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any thoughts on that, or is just everyone thinks that hip hop is a young man's game?
Well, that everybody does think that, But if people are really paying attention, a lot of artists from back then are still making music and they're still touring. It has never stopped.
Go Europe.
Let's see. Most of the artists that I listen to, like I still listen to Pharaoh. Black Thought. All those dudes are in our age range. And I'm just naming two. There's plenty of people out there that are still making really dope music. It's just what's being presented at the forefront. You just, you hear about 4 or 5 artists on the radio.
Again, it goes back to the era we came from. You had to search for the music.
Right.
Like, you'll be surprised. You mentioned Special Ed. I think he isn't not mentioned enough in Dope MCs. Because you have to think, when Special Ed was at his prime, he was a teenager. Like, he wasn't even old enough to sign the contracts, and he was writing the way he was writing. Yeah. His name never comes up. But that was part of my inspiration because they're not in the forefront, that they're what I call blue collar MCs. And there are a lot of MCs that are still touring. That's when people say crazy shit. I don't pay no mind because I got my focus on. So I already was thinking, we going to Europe. That's the first thing I thought, because
go to Europe.
The thing about America and hip hop, it's very disposable. And we're the only genre of music that throw away the legends. It's like Bono is still Bono.
Right?
But the U2 is an 80s group. Like, Bono is still Bono. Mick Jagger is still Mick Jagger. B.B. King.
Yeah.
In any other genre of music, they worship and praise their legends. And the music keeps being passed on to the next generation. And it typically happens when you go to college. And because if you want to be sophisticated, you're hip to origins. And that happens with, kids you get in high school or college, then now you become familiar with Pink Floyd. You become familiar with Jimi Hendrix. And Jimi Hendrix was dead before I was born, but his name still rings. That doesn't happen in hip hop.
Yep.
No, so we're the only genre that does that, but there are a lot. Master Ace is one of my favorite MCs, and he is a full-fledged. That's all he does. He's a working MC.
I have the first track I did, the single we released with my group, The Problematics, has Master Ace on it. We work with him, we tour with him for years. He's a legend.
Yeah, that's somebody we want to work with too. That's something.
I got
a dream board.
I got
Master
you.
Ace is on my dream board.
We'll link. I got you. No
Indeed.
doubt. It's like he's played at
Bishops. On my dream board.
He's played. So the second part of my question then is, how do you guys feel about right now in these Corona times, where I feel like this is a hard reset for music, where you can't go out and play? So all the big names. So now all these more underground acts and your local artists are getting a little more shine. They're reaching out, all their fans who couldn't go out to a club, to a show, because they have kids, they have something to do. How do you feel like this is a good chance to have up and coming artists and older artists to restart their career?
It's time to put music out, because people don't have shit to do. So everyone's running. Everyone's running and running and running. Now everyone's at a standstill. So they're looking wherever. They're looking wherever for any kind of content. So if music is your bag, then now you're searching for maybe new music, and this is an opportunity for newer artists. You just got to put it out there so people can see it, and that's what we're doing. And it's like the Quarantine song. Like, that's a song that we came up with an idea. And I was like, we need to record that, and we need to shoot a video for it now. We're kind of ducking and dodging because we on quarantine, so it's like it's kind of hard. But I was like, this is how, because now that's a key word, like quarantine and the virus. All of these things are getting all this attention. This is a chance to say, hey, look at us. We're over here. We're doing this, and you see it. and you could see it. Like D Nice is like the man right now. Like D Nice,
Oh yeah,
doing these live. He's doing these live parties, man, and like shit.
everything.
And like his stock just went up. So
I love it.
And now
But
everyone's doing it.
Did you hear his story though? It was interesting. He Daddy Kane talked to him, Big Daddy Kane talked to him about it coming back and reviving his rap career.
Oh really? I didn't
Yeah.
hear that.
He talked about it. They were interviewing D Nice and he was talking about it. Daddy Kane put it on his IG.
Right.
And I guess he talked him out of it, and so then he went on to do other things. But it was just really interesting. I was like, wow.
Yeah, he has a great story too. Like he kind of fell into hip hop and he made something out of nothing all the way to now. Like,
yeah,
that's dope.
All
Really
right,
dope, yeah.
we got about 2 minutes left. Anybody with last words before we thank these guys because they were wonderful tonight?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Any last
Thank you for
last
having us.
words?
Okay, all right. Now I can't have, you know what I'm saying, some hip hop artists on the show without hearing a little something. And I got my man Forrest here. We're gonna have our first Langston Hughes and Alchemistics collab. You know what I'm saying? Can we get the underground right now?
Man.
Nah. We have the quarantine show song, or we have the quarantine song. We just can't seem to kick it up tonight, but we will get it on.
Laura, well, that was just the instrument anyway.
What's
that?
Posting is pressure the guests.
I know. I didn't say it. I
was gonna say, Tim, we'll make it happen. We'll link. I'll reach out to these guys. We'll do it. We'll come back, and as long as you play it, I'll play it. On the show.
Why we could? Hey, we're down to come back. We could do a.
We don't have anything to do. We can make a song.
Okay, Forrest. Thank
you so much for coming.
That's nice.
I'm so cool to see this link happening. Thank you so much for being here. I'm enjoying your music and hope more people listen to it. This
she's
quiet
all branded. Look at
quarantine
Laura's branded.
Okay, I got your shirt, right? You got
you. Saw Mary Lou had her face mask or something. She had like a
great
face mask. That was
Fat
cool.
Astronaut. If you guys are watching, check out this band from Fat Astronaut out of Connecticut. They're amazing. Jazz, they're front man, a neo soul hip hop blend. Check them out. Those are up and coming cats.
All right. I can't thank you enough for being on the show tonight. Thank you so much. We are posting links to Dreams Expedited and all of your music. Make sure you put anything up on our page you want to about your music. We want to help promote it. I love that album. My life wouldn't be the same without it. Do you have any last words?
Yes.
Love you.
Now we said we would come back and do a twin. What's good, cousin? What's good? What's good? We said we would come back, but if we come back, we got to talk more. Like y'all kind of curbed me, but I wanted to talk about y'all.
Tim gave you
I did check the curve, but now I've been doing my research too. So
I heard you.
Oh boy.
I've been doing my research, so I see you. I seen you, Lauren. All you guys. I did my research.
What was that, Joe?
You can come open for his big September show.
You can.
Whose big September show?
Tim's
Comedy is a Weapon. Duh.
Man, it's so hard to get good help, man.
Man. What is wrong? What day is today? I don't know.
What month is it?
We got to get rid of this virus, though.
Oh, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Just kidding. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. We have another show coming on Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. Thank you, Langston Hughes III.
Thank you.
Kim DeShields, Lauren K-Lane, Timothy Lovett, and all our guests. Good night.
Well.
Any U.S. citizen returning to the United States will be subject to up to 14 days of mandatory quarantine.
We got that vaccine, third eye clean, we Visine. Dancing off the top rope, we Dougie off them high beams. Running hard like track meets, debutantes in back seats. Niacin for player P, my piss test with 5. Double frost on planet Mars, they surf the net, we surf the stars. Quarantine in Zanzibar, breathing on the masses. Paper like